Hi, everyone. I'm Megan Ramos, and in this week's episode, I'm here with Coach Nadia. Nadia lives in Lisbon, Portugal, and she's been under lockdown now for quite a while with a couple of kids at home. So we're going to check in with her to see what she's doing. She's a little bit ahead of us in North America in terms of the situation evolving with COVID-19 over in Europe. So she's had more time to figure out how to manage this at home. So Nadia, how are you hanging in there?
We are doing surprisingly well. I think, Megan, as you said, we have been. Today, I think, is the exact 14th day that my children have not left the house.
Oh,
So we've been in here under this lockdown for a little bit longer, I think, than you guys, and likely will stay longer. We are already I've been talking a little bit about this with some of our clients, the 5 stages of grief. And a psychologist posted about this. He talked about how a lot of people are going through the 5 stages of grief. So as you know, it's initially denial, right? Anger, and then there's bargaining, depression, and acceptance. So for sure, we're at the acceptance phase, so much so that we've been told that we may even stay in for 3 to 6 months. And at this point, we're all like, yeah, sure, that's fine, no problem. And so with acceptance, as you know, comes a lot of calm and resolution, really because this is the new norm. And I have no idea if that's the case. And of course, that will be challenging if that is the case. I think we know for sure that our kids' schools will not open until at least September. So we'll be homeschooling for the remainder of the year and then still have a whole summer ahead to entertain them. And I'm not quite sure under what circumstances, but we will figure it out. I think this is the whole point, right? And as you know, Megan, we were going through this a little before you guys. And that first week, I myself posted a couple of panic things like, our food's going to run out and we're eating too often. And for a fasting family, that was shocking. And you always think, how are we going to survive this? But within a few days, we figured it out. And actually, it's been a lot of fun. And a lot of people have been noticing this, right? You get to do a lot of things that you didn't get to do before. I'm still busy. You're still busy. So we get to work. And this is good, of course. It keeps me distracted. It keeps me happy. However, I do have to balance out the fact that I have 2 little kids at home, right? A 9-year-old and a 6-year-old. And because of the way that it was done here in Portugal, the very first day that they were home, they had an online portal for homeschooling. It's an 8:30 a.m. till 3:30, and most days they're doing assignments even after 3:30. So it's like boom, 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 boom. And our kids are little. Our 9-year-old can do most of it on her own. She can submit assignments on her own. She can do her class because they have live class with the teacher and students. They have classes and then they have assignments. I mean, it's like, but our 6-year-old cannot. So I have to, right now, she's got a class. So my husband and I switch back and forth, right? He still goes for his daily walk, which is sort of allowed. There's a sort of here, okay?
Oh,
yes. So he said, and he passes police off. There's police on the streets. It's very, very empty. So they're allowing things to a certain extent. Like if it gets he goes by himself, you're allowed to walk a pet, but we don't have a pet, okay? So he goes on his walk. He sees a couple of older people. People keep a certain distance. I'm not sure how long this is going to be allowed to go on for, to be totally honest. I'm assuming that at some point he won't be able to go for this walk. I start the kids off with their early classes, and then we switch because I work most of the afternoon. We both work from home normally, so we have to make this work because we're usually here. So that's not a huge switch for us. The one thing that we noticed is that very quickly we were able to come back to sort of something somewhat normal. Our kids eat 3 meals a day, which means that at first affected how I ate.
Yeah.
Because now they were home and I was a lot more involved. And so that first week, that freaked me out because I haven't eaten 3 meals a day in a very long time. So that like, and then having my husband actually on some days eat 3 meals, I thought we are going to run out of food. This is going to be chaos. And that was my initial panic.
Yeah.
But then that settled down because we can't do 3 meals a day. It's not something that our body can handle. So I've gone into, I guess, 2 meals a day most days, which even that can be challenging for me because I was used to doing OMAD. I had just written something for a newsletter about how I had been doing OMAD and why I was doing OMAD and how that was my new norm. And now my new norm with this situation seems to be 2 meals. At 10, my kids have a break at 10. At 10 and 4, I eat. They eat at 10, and today we switched that because their break and their lunch was a little too close together. But anyway, they eat 3 meals, and I'm eating 2 meals. My husband is doing 1 meal, which for him is really good because he mostly fasts all the time. He does either alternate day fast or he does extended fast between his trips, and now he can't travel, right? He had to cancel a million trips. I had to cancel a million trips. You did too, Megan.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
So that's an overview of what we are doing here.
It sounds like you have a really great routine down, and I think so many parents are grasping to find a routine. My husband's American, and a lot of his family, well, they're all over the United States, but a lot of his family is in the New York, New Jersey region. And his youngest cousin, who's 11, is home now. And because the situation really sort of rapidly evolved in New York State where he lives, school was closed like back at the beginning of March, end of February. And his mom has a teaching background, and she just knew the importance of a routine for children to thrive and survive and to reduce their own anxiety, and the benefit of that for her, you know, for the reduction of her own anxiety. So she posted on social media. She's like, this is my son's routine. This is when I'm teaching him. This is when we're doing physical activities. This is when we're doing chores. This is when we're going for a walk. Like, she posted this daily routine. And she said, I'll post my lessons, or I'll invite friends and family to my Skype teaching sessions. And so she's been running a school because back then in New York, they hadn't quite figured out what was going to happen with online learning at the time. So I think just having a routine is so important, especially when people have kids. And I've been listening to our fasting method community members and coaching clients, and then the ones that are just settling in now have such a strong routine, and it's so important. So there's a lot of other parents, though, that are kind of saddened by the monuments that their kids are going to miss this year. And I was sharing yesterday in one of our support focus groups that my best friend, her daughter's supposed to graduate grade 8 this June. So in Canada, grade 8 graduation is a big deal before going into high school. And her daughter bought a dress at an after Christmas sale that she was going to wear to her graduation. So now we're doing an online graduation ceremony with all of her friends in their various homes with their families, and all families and friends are able to come and watch. And we're going to have a graduation party online, just so this particular girl and her friends can feel like, oh, their work has actually been celebrated. And I think that people are struggling to figure out how to use this technology. I know in our family on Sunday, we're doing a Netflix party, and they've actually made it possible for us to do it across borders. So we're a blended Canadian and American family. So we're doing a PG-13, a family-friendly movie for everyone, and we're doing this big Netflix party. Everybody's going to cook, we're going to eat while watching this movie during the eating windows. So I think my husband has a cousin with children and an aunt in El Paso, Texas. They're officially on a lockdown. They can't even go for walks right now. And this so rapidly shifted here in North America that I think a lot of people just don't know what to do. So it sounds like routine has been key for you keeping your hair in and looking so great today.
Mandatory shower in the morning. His is obviously after he walks in. He has to discard of his clothes. There's a whole routine of what he has to do when he walks in, and then he takes a shower. I take a shower in the morning and get dressed. The kids have to get dressed, brush teeth, wash face, and then take a shower in the evening. But the first week, my kids went from PJs to PJs. Mm-hmm. And it was actually one of the teachers that pointed it out. And again, everything that you said is spot on. Routine. People that are still struggling to find a routine, again, they're going through all the different stages still. A lot of somewhat mourning of this whole situation. But as soon as you skip on to the last phase of acceptance and you start creating a routine, whether it's created for you, like I have a set routine already. I have calls at a certain time. My kids have school that's already been, I didn't have to create this. It's done. But some people it's a really good idea. And there's so much support online from teachers, from other parents that have created this routine. I think the most important thing that I learned from somebody else early on was it's great to have a routine. It's great that kids have this normal, the schooling and all of this, but you can't get overstressed about it. We're not teachers, most of us. Okay, I'm not great at this. I'm really not. I will own up to it. And so I'm doing my best. It's great that my kids have had all their assignments handed in on time and they're ahead of schedule. The first week I thought, this is impossible. They're never going to be able to do this. My daughter was so stressed, my oldest, the 9-year-old. She's actually now managed her time and she hands everything on time because she gets the sticker and she likes the sticker. Great. But if she didn't, it's just fine. The weekends are actually so much tougher because on the weekends they're like, I'm bored. Yeah. We're lucky to have a backyard. We have a pool, but it's still cold. So they go outside and they get sun and they do they do a lot of gymnastics, which I'm worried about because I'm like, this is not the time to go to a hospital. So let's keep it down. But they're still bored on the weekend because there isn't as much of a routine.
That's
so
definitely
routine is
tough.
Super important.
Yeah, it's definitely tough, especially when you can't get out. I think in Canada, our prime minister, he's been pretty firm that unless we need to go out because we're frontline workers or we're still helping to support, essential services, that we need to stay home if we can. And our neighbors have a couple of young kids, and on the weekend, I've been home. This is day 12 of me not leaving my house. I'm fortunate. I'm still getting groceries delivered. We're still getting mail delivered. I was able to get anything I need from the pharmacy delivered to my house. So I'm okay, but I hear my neighbors' kids on the weekends. They're just pent up with energy, and the backyard's only so big, and without being able to get access to arts and crafts supplies and those sorts of things, it can definitely be tough to get through the weekend. And I think so many different organizations are trying to create online communities. I mean, we have our fasting method online communities. Are people who are, have similar health goals. Adults can come and support each other and hang out and vent their frustrations and motivate one another. But I think there are a lot of organizations out there working on trying to develop some online communities for kids, but it's very much in the process of evolving because, like Nadia said, even my husband back in January became very, very concerned about how this is going to hit North America and if we were prepared, if his family in the US was prepared, if we were prepared here in Toronto. And as a healthcare worker myself, I've been through SARS, I've been through MERS, I've been through H1N1. And while all of it was stressful, we really managed it. So I thought, okay, this is going to be tough, but we're going to get through it. So I was in a bit of a denial or just lacked the education.
Same, yeah.
Same. Fortunately, he didn't go overboard, but he made sure that we had what we needed in case we needed to stay home for about 4 to 6 weeks. And he didn't hoard anything. We left plenty of toilet paper for people, but just to make sure. And I'm really grateful that he did that. But I know for even myself, who spent most of the last 2 years bouncing around the globe like a ping pong ball, that not having a routine, whether I was in Amman, Jordan, or London in the UK, or I was in San Diego, California for work, wherever work brought me, that I needed to have a routine, especially a morning and an evening routine. And I joke, I don't have any kids. I have 2 greyhounds that are pretty independent dogs. I love my husband to death, but I would say he is like my first child. He makes a lot of noise in the morning time. And I found that just waking up a couple of hours earlier than him gives me some time to journal, to meditate, to enjoy my tea, to read for pleasure, or just do some chores around the house. And that's one thing in my morning routine. Even if I'm traveling, he often travels with me, and it's getting up, going to do some sort of activity, doing my journal, reading, having some tea before he wakes up. And that's been a really calming thing. So we were chatting about that in our fasting method community the other day, and some parents are saying that they've started doing that too. they're waking up a couple of hours before their kids just so they can center themselves and give themselves some self-care, organize themselves so they can actually stick to a schedule or a routine, and they're not ready to rip out their hair and go ravage what's left in their refrigerator or their pantry, and stick through the day. So routine, I think, is key right now. I think everyone, regardless of where you are, writing down a routine, planning a schedule, and really putting pen to paper for the commitment. I was just posting today, I know this is going to air in a couple of weeks from now, but the importance of actually putting pen to paper makes that commitment so much stronger, and writing in when you're going to eat and when you're going to fast. And actually, one of our team members was looking at my own Google Calendar, and whenever I eat, the box is in green, and if it's a fasting day, the box is blue to represent water. And she laughed at me. She's like, "What are you doing with your calendar?" But it's good because I plan it out. I've committed to it, and I filled my schedule up with other activities, self-care items, and chores and stuff to do. So I think routine, even if you're not a parent and you're watching this video, is important to have to get through this time. Well, thank you, Nadia, so much for taking time out. I know you're really busy trying to help a lot of your clients sort of navigate through those 5 stages and come out of this stronger, because we can absolutely come out of this healthy and strong, and we need to, because we're going to return to a world that is very different, and we need to be strong as we try to adapt to our new normal. For those of you who don't know, Nadia co-wrote a book called the PCOS Plan with Dr. Fong, and we still have postal service working here, so thank you to the postal worker who delivered this to me yesterday, because it will be my weekend motivational reading. So check it out. We'll post the link to where you can find this book in the description below. So thank you, Nadia, for joining us today.
Thank you. Stay safe. We'll all get through this. And I'm really thankful for our community. It actually has been a big, I know I supposedly am supposed to be helping others, but I've benefited so much from our community and our groups and my calls with my clients. It's really helped me stay grounded, and it gives us great perspective because we talk to so many people. Some of them are in the front lines and we're so very thankful for them. And others like us are doing their part in staying home. So it's a great community, and I'm very thankful for it.
Yeah, it's been really supportive to me. On one last note, we posted a thread on gratitude this morning in the forum, and one of the things that I was grateful for is I travel so much, and I'm always with this low-carb, like-minded community as a result. So much so that I joked to Ivor Cummins last year that I saw him more than I saw my own father. So Ivor is the fat emperor, the engineer turned cardiovascular expert extraordinaire. And I didn't realize how always just being with these people was so motivating. And now that I'm home, just trying to provide support is great because, it helps fulfill me every day. I have a purpose to get out of bed in these stressful times to help people. But I've actually benefited a lot from this community too, because I didn't know how that I was always traveling with the community and getting support. And at home, the stories from our members have been really inspirational. And it is a dark time in human history. And, I could easily Google what pizza is in my area and have at home. But seeing other people do so many creative things to stay on track has been so inspiring. So thank you all for being part of our community. We'll get through this together. We'll get through this stronger. And we'll take each week as it comes. All right. Well, thank you, Nadia. Stay safe, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks,
Bye,
Megan.
everyone.
Bye.